Thank you. In every life situation katika maisha mambo mengi sana hufanyika, and there are things that happens in life that needs to be seen as they continue, but many are those that you look down at them and imagine they are just alive, they are just situations in life that may need to continue or may just be stopped. That means there are categories of life that we live that needs to be continued or be stopped. Today, in a very, very candid, special way, I would like to introduce a show. And in this, we want to discuss with many of you. I'll be inviting you. If you wish to come over, you can come over, but we shall be coming in with good people with proper knowledge about what you're going to discuss, and the discussion will be about life after a salvation or life after baptism. We all need to understand what salvation is. We all need to understand what baptism is. But looking at it in some ordinary way, people may want to just look at it as a mere life where somebody is claiming or shouting out there, maybe just jumping here and there and claiming that they are saved. People claiming and jumping out there that they were baptized, and if you go deeper and ask them what this salvation is, they end up fumbling with answers. They don't even know what happened and what actually transpired for them to reach where they are. So salvation must be something that we understand deeply. It is supposed to be something that we understand. As a matter of fact, we have transitioned from one life or one particular life to the next level. The same is applied to baptism. Remember, I'm talking about this in the context of the Christianity, because other religions don't have this. Other religions have their own way of understanding things, but I am talking about this from the context of in the Christian context. So if you look at these two areas, if I can put it in my understanding, if I can put it in a very layman understanding, is that it is a transition, it is an initiation that we are transitioned from one particular life to another. Yes, from one particular area to another, actually from one a particular life, so to speak, to the next. So if salvation must be taken as an exercise that needs to be continued, then it is something that we have to try and live that thing. So the show that we are introducing, the show that I'm introducing, and it will come day in, day out, maybe weekly, will have a very big impact in how we live. For those who have gone through these two ways of initiation into Christianity, will tell me that, and rather will bear witness with me that you have to live a changed life. Because when you claim, when you declare that you are actually saved, then you're supposed to live a life that is not from the previous life. You have to change. You have to change your talking. You have to change your way of living. You have to change, in fact, you have to change your way of dressing, so to speak. You have to change so many things. Maybe how you conduct yourself, how you address other people, how you are receiving people, how are you really embracing one another. The same is applied to that one who has been baptized. But in the very, very, very future, rather looking at what we shall looking at the characteristics of the two and compare the two slowly as we come into contact with theologians whom we shall invite in our studios. We shall look at it and try to imagine what comes after what. Is baptism more important than the declaration that I'm saved? important than that? Or is salvation that what comes first? And what are the significance of the two? So we are going to have this as a talk. And if you have a challenge, please just be free to come in, because one, we are doing this so that we may understand well how our initiation to the next level of life is, and after that, how are we going to live that life of salvation, that life after baptism, that life after knowing who does what for who. Another point that I would like us to discuss is, do we really have to declare and stand at that level? Should we continue teaching our people after baptism or after the declaration of salvation? Do we still have room for teaching, or is the normal preaching in the churches enough for that? We shall look deeper into it. But the importance of what we are going to introduce is that we are going to go deeper, to do teachings every week, if not every day, about salvation, about baptism, and about how we are going to conduct ourselves. My name is Paul. We shall be doing this. I'm going to invite other people, but before that, I'm going to share with you teachings from different speakers from different Christian churches talk about baptism and salvation.
Should a person be baptized in order to be saved?
Just have a look at this.
I suppose that's a hotly contested question. There are a lot of people in the world who say that baptism isn't necessary to be saved. Let's listen to what God says in answer to this question. 3 things. Number 1, whenever a condition is presented in the Bible in order to salvation, it is necessary. Let's listen to the Bible in Hebrews chapter 5, verses 8 and 9. The Bible says, though he was a son, yet he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. And having been perfected, he became the author of eternal salvation to all who obey him. See, obedience is necessary, and when God presents something as a condition for salvation, whatever it is, it's necessary. Think of Noah. In the Bible, in Genesis 6 and verse 22, after Noah did everything, the Bible says, so did Noah according to all that God commanded him. So we must always do everything that God says, including baptism. Number 2, Jesus said that baptism is necessary for salvation. In Mark 16, verse 16, Jesus said, he who believes and is baptized will be saved, but he who does not believe will be condemned. In the very first part of that statement, there are 2 conditions placed on salvation: belief and baptism.
This baptism and salvation together, because of the context. I've said we are talking about Christianity. There are other churches that look at baptism that comes before salvation. Salvation comes either way, but looking at it in a very, very good perspective, you realize that both of them talk about transforming and giving us a tomorrow that will lead us to see God, taking us to see Jesus, taking us to see to live a life that is pleasant to our Maker, our Creator. So make sure you follow us. Don't hesitate to make a call, probably if you wish so. Be sharing with this, share to your friends, invite somebody to invite the other person to watch this kind of teaching and see where we are as a people. Together we shall move to the next level, because now if we must always sit down and imagine that we are saved, if we just sit down and imagine that we are baptized and we are not putting these things in practice, then our salvation, our baptism will mean nothing. So make sure that you are with us. As I said, make sure everything goes to the right direction. Thank you, as I leave you with this teaching.
Jesus said that baptism is necessary for salvation. In Mark 16, verse 16, Jesus said, he who believes and is baptized will be saved, but he who does not believe will be condemned. In the very first part of that statement, there are 2 conditions placed on salvation: belief and baptism. So while there may be more conditions presented in the New Testament, it can never depend on less than believing and being baptized. So baptism is essential for salvation. The apostles even taught the same thing, and why would they teach different? In Acts 2 and verse 38, on the day of Pentecost, Peter taught that baptism is for the remission of sins. And in 1 Peter 3 verses 20 and 21, Peter proclaimed that baptism now saves us, and it's not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience toward God. Number 3, the Bible teaches that one is not forgiven of sins until he or she is baptized. Think of Colossians chapter 2, verses 11 and 12. The Bible says, "In him you were also circumcised with a circumcision made
to kill.
Roll